Hi, everybody, and good afternoon, and welcome to Tremco Live. I'm Marcy Tyler. I will be your host for today's broadcast. Pretty excited, like I always say, to be able to get up in front of you guys almost each and every Friday. Very excited to bring content, especially today, because I want to let everybody know about some changes that are coming here soon. So bear with us as we begin to undergo some construction as it relates to the Tremco Live. So we are going to change the name, we're going to change some of the format, and what we're really looking forward to is engaging with all of you. So once again, if you've ever had an idea, a concept, something that you want to be able to share with us, this is absolutely your time to reach out. It just made me think of someone in particular. So Dave, if you're watching, I will call you after the broadcast because I know you have content you've been wanting to share. So just thought I'd throw that out there. But anyway, today I'm excited, of course, to tell you about the fact that we're going through some changes. So hang in for more of that to come in the future, in the next couple of months, but most importantly, because it's February. And in February, as we did last year, if you are a frequent watcher of the program, is we focused on education. So We Love Education is our theme for the month of February. And it's appropriate because it's Valentine's Day on Monday. And if you remember from last year, it's also my birthday. So anyway, certainly not here to talk about that specifically, but of course, how much we love education here at this company, and our ability to share not only with our colleagues, but of course with our customers as well. So two new ways, I guess not new ways, but updated ways that you can engage with us as it relates to education. So the first one is Tremco University. So if you're not familiar with that and you haven't checked that out, I highly recommend that you check out Tremco University. You can find that directly on our homepage, the Tremco Sealants homepage, and you search under resources and continuing education. They'll bring you right to this on-demand option for you to learn on your time. We also have an updated brochure, which is featured there on your left-hand side, which is all about the different types of classes that are available to you from a lunch and learn perspective, given by folks like myself, but of course, all those amazing feet on the street that are out there with you each and every day can provide this content to you. So if any of those are piquing your interest, please check them out, because once again, we love that ability to educate. Today's topic specifically, as it relates to education, is one of my favorites. This is a presentation that is available that can be given to you and your customers, or if you're a customer, we can give it directly to your firm. So we can kind of customize the content based on some projects you're working on, if that's the case. So today, we're going to do a broad stroke of a variety of different areas related to this continuing education program. But if you want to focus on one specific area, we certainly can do that too. It's pretty interesting because as a representative of Tremco Construction Products Group, we have so many different ways that we can engage with you as it relates to restoration. So as you can see there in those green banners, that is just some of the features where we can start to talk to you about those areas on your buildings. Today, I'm going to cover in rapid fire a variety of different enclosure topics as it relates to restoration. But the next two Fridays, we're going to cover other areas like roofing, and we're going to have some guests on to talk about that. So stay tuned for the rest of February as we talk to you about restoration and bring to you some of this specific education that we have available. So as we look specifically about this topic today, we're going to start off with coatings and membranes. So lots of different types of education that we can provide as it relates to specifically coatings and membranes. For today's content, we're looking at ways that we work and engage with all of you. So we're going to come out on your project. We're going to look at what those issues are, that restoration candidate. We're going to look to see if there's issues from water, intrusion, maybe there was some improper installation. Maybe we need to just restore some aging components, or even start to update that slip resistance and maybe some wear resistance. So this entire educational program focuses on providing solutions to meet you where you're at, right? So we're not going to force you into one category. We have a variety of solutions we'll be able to walk you through. As you can see, some of those examples there on that screen. So love that ability to kind of dial in to meet your performance criteria to restore that project of yours, to get it back to being functioning and performing as intended. Lots of education as it relates to surface prep, priming, aggregate, and coating. So just to kind of bring that up and make that into the forefront for all of you. Lots of great ability from an installation perspective. We work with the Sealant Waterproofing and Restoration Institute for training programs as well. We have one for coating. We have one for air barriers, and we had it for hot apply waterproofing. And I know we're working on a couple other ones. So lots of great ways that we can engage not only with design professionals and our installers. I love when we do this type of education is also bringing those case studies to life, right? So you may recognize this project here. This is Lambeau Field, and this was an opportunity where we looked at our solutions that we could provide, and we came up with a specific one for this based on the needs and the challenges that they were facing. So in this instance, it is a pedestrian stairwell, but we wanted to make sure that we made it more durable, and they wanted it to have quick turnaround time. So with this one, we chose with our Puma solution. So we have options, but we dialed in to meet the needs of that specific customer. I love this one. The challenge here on this project was all about cold weather and quick turnaround time. And of course, no one complains about having a durable membrane. Another solution here on this application. For those of you in warmer climates, that white stuff in the background is not sand, it is snow. So depending on where you're working, different challenges may come up, and that's where we love that ability to dial in to that solution that's gonna really work. Another example as we start to look at waterproofing. So from a membrane perspective, for this project specifically, they did have that cold weather demand. It was pretty cold in the 30s or lower. And this is a between slab application. So using Puma was great because they had the cold weather install, and then they had a nice durable material so that it could handle construction traffic during construction, right? So before they put that second slab on top of that first slab there that was waterproofed. This one is a more sunny climate. So certainly wasn't a cold weather need here or a cold weather challenge, but it was a planter, and a large one at that, over occupied space. Their challenge here was all about durability. We wanted something that was super strong, could handle the growing medium that's in there. And with something like Puma, you're going to get the quick turnaround time, you're going to get very great installation capabilities, and you're also going to get that strong, durable membrane. And then just further, as we continue to look at options, we love to feature case studies. So if you are interested in learning more specifically about different types of solutions, these yellow boxes throughout the slides today show you specific videos that you can go ahead and take a look at that are on our Tremco CPG YouTube channel. So this one specifically is Catalyst Health Parking Garage. Their challenge here specifically was quick turnaround time. They were able to start this project at 9 a.m., finish it at 5 p.m., all in one day. So super quick turnaround time. And with that whole solution, you're going to get a durable, very strong coating. So that was a very quick intro to what we can do for you from a restoration perspective for your coatings and your membranes, but we also have the ability to look at your sealants as well. So as we move from the parking structure, the walkways, we're going to look at the facade. And here, we're going to mostly look at a variety of different solutions that deal with either wet sealant, pre-cured solutions, or pre-compressed foam tapes. Of course, we're going to work together, identify what was that existing problem, what are we restoring and why, and provide you a variety of solutions. So dial in to that performance needs that you have, dial in to the challenge that you have in that project, and get you something that's going to be able to perform. With a lot of these solutions, what's really cool is we can also share with you not only the case studies, which we will, but also different ways that we can evaluate these materials. So lots of work is done before it ever even gets to the job site in terms of understanding adhesion, compatibility, installation practices. And then once again, those feet on the street really understand regional practices so we can make sure that we're providing a solution that's going to meet the needs in that location. A couple examples as we look at sealants. In this case, our beloved wet cured sealants can't handle metal joinery and the extreme movement it's going to see in this project. On this one, it has a lot of movement, as I mentioned, and it doesn't have the configuration for a wet sealant to be able to perform. Wet sealants, you probably know, they need a certain amount of bonding surface and a certain shape to be able to have that movement capability. In this case, we're going with a pre-cured solution that goes up and over the existing problem and seals it, getting it back to being air and water tight. A couple examples there as well. Great thing for metal joinery. I know that's on lots of your projects. Next one is another pre-cured solution. You may have heard this project before. It is another one of those yellow boxes that you can see there on screen, another case study video. In this instance, we had a variety of sealant joints, a variety of challenges in terms of we didn't want to have occupant displacement. We didn't want to send all those windows to the landfill. So that's when we partner with our consultants. They come out, they let us know we're structurally sound. We just have air and watertight issues. And then we can use our pre-cured solutions to get it back to being air and watertight. And then last but not least, as we look at those sealants categorized solutions, we got pre-compressed foam tape. This is a great project, Notre Dame Fighting Irish Football Stadium. In this instance, all the expansion joints were having issues, and underneath this seating area is occupied space. Pre-cured solutions were going to be the best choice for this application. You can see some of those install pictures, and it had to be 100% water tested, and it did a great job. Just one more option as we provide those solutions. Next up, as we continue to look at the facade, is the glazing. Glazing is defined as those windows, those curtain walls, those metal to glass areas on your buildings. And this one is another one of those examples that if you want to know more about this specific project, you can go to our YouTube channel and find out more. But once again, we're looking at the great ability to be able to take something that is structurally sound, thanks to working with our consultants, and getting it back to being air and watertight. And in many instances, we're also improving it aesthetically. As we look around, all around us, we can see restoration candidates. Some are really huge, like the Puerto Rico Convention Center, and some might be small, like that skylight down below. But all of them in these instances are having issues with being air and watertight. You know that can cause damage to the interior space, it can cause damage to the structure, and it certainly isn't making for an efficient building. So we work super close, once again, to identify what that situation is, what that restoration candidate's needs are. Is it going to be able to improve energy efficiency? Is it a remedy for water intrusion? Maybe we're installing something that was improperly installed in the first place. A lot of times it might be aging components, but we're able to get that back to performing air and watertight. We can renew some aesthetics, and we can even work on some historic renovations. I love the full tool bag that we have to offer here as well. So we have, of course, our wet sealants, our pre-cured solutions, and then full gasket replacement. Dialing into being able to get that building, that project of yours, back to being able to function as intended. The other thing we like to always reiterate, as we did with the sealants and with the coatings, is a lot of stuff gets done before it gets to the job site. We can also do this for project-specific things as well. So imagine you've chosen your solution, you want to validate it. We can work collaboratively together at our test facility. If it's a wall assembly, if it's a curtain wall, if it's a window wall, if it's even whatever your project challenge is, we can start to remedy that and work together and test it for both air and water, which is those are the two main things we're generally solving on these projects, right? We can test it ahead of time at the test facility, get everyone involved to really understand the sequencing, the installation challenges, and then making sure that everyone understands what that finished look and that finished performance is going to be able to be achieved based on this new solution or new restoration opportunity. So specifically, as we look at these that are related to glazing, we can utilize that full tool bag again. This is one of those applications where we had some metal joinery leakage. So it was in the horizontal and vertical area was having some issues. In this case, we didn't have to remove the windows. We didn't have to remove the gaskets. All we had to do was be able to provide what we call a cruciform. So that's that middle area that you can see in the animation. It's a silicone cruciform. We cut back some of the existing gasket and added in some silicone sealant, and we were able to get that back to being air and watertight. Nothing went to a landfill, and this building and those windows are air and watertight. Another example, this is in that first page from the restoration candidate. This is a skylight. In this case, a lot of the area buildings are looking down on this skylight. It wasn't that pretty before. We're able to definitely get it back to being more aesthetically pleasing. But I think the building owners are really happy because now it's back to being air and watertight. The animation is shown here as well. Pretty unique situation here. We're going glass to glass, fully encapsulating that pressure bar. So now we've got a nice air and watertight seal. So pretty cool the way that we can utilize these technologies on these existing buildings, and getting it back to being able to function and be efficient. One of my favorites, I think I probably say that a lot, this is a custom colored overlay. So in this case, we did that whole idea of glass to glass, fully encapsulating that existing mullion. But in this case, we did that custom color. So you can see how beautiful that looks on the right-hand side, and it's air and water tight. Doesn't matter if it's a restoration application. We can also go from a full gasket replacement if needed. This is a project from 1891, a Columbia Law Library, where they used putty. The putty is not very malleable. It's a very hard substance. They probably had some air leakage and water leakage probably from the day it was built, but now they got it custom gasket, custom color, back to being air and water tight. And we always love to feature those projects that you can find on our website, like this one here. This one is the University Tower project. You can see a little triangle on this one as well. This is another one of those Sealant Waterproofing Restoration Institute projects where we really highlight the collaboration of the installer, the design professional, and the manufacturer, and how they were able to get this very large 60-story office building back to being air and water tight. The property managers here said that every time it rained, they were leak chasers, chasing all around that building to find the leaks. Now they're able to focus on occupant retention and a lot of other things instead of leak chasing. As we continue to look at the facade, we have so many options as it relates to that. There's so many different things as we look outbound, right? Not having to remove that existing structure or that existing facade or cladding, different ways that we can improve both its appearance and its energy efficiency. As we look around, there's lots of different opportunities around us. We're looking at, what are the deficiencies, what are the issues, getting different types of engineers involved from a structural integrity perspective. But we're so excited, once again, to be able to dial in and make sure that we're providing the exact solution that's going to make sense for that project. Here's your options when we look into this tool bag. We've got different types of coatings and finishes. It can look like so many different types of materials. We can also provide continuous insulation like eaves. We can also take a combination of all of that and provide a panelized solution that can go up and over that existing facade. Lots of great work going on here, lots of great options. But don't worry, you don't have to figure out which one's going to make most sense. That's what the feet on the street can help you out with. As we mentioned before, with the other areas of our restoration opportunities, we're always evaluating things too. Another evaluation opportunity is utilizing our thermal environmental chamber. As we look at these panelized solutions, as we look at this continuous insulation solutions, we really want to be able to highlight the true energy efficiency and the true thermal impact that we can achieve when we're using something that's not as mechanically attached as maybe some other types of facades. Or in the case of eaves, eliminating that mechanical attachment altogether. Lots of great benefits from an energy efficiency perspective. And we know there is so much modeling. There's so much information that exists out there today. But imagine if you could actually build your wall, put all the data acquisition points throughout that wall, and actually be able to visually see in our chamber what kind of thermal efficiency you're getting out of your assembly. Pretty cool. And as we look at those options, as I mentioned, we can do so many different things with them. We can have it mimic a stucco stipple look. So this is a great way that we can really mimic those existing buildings on a campus. We had the same situation in Owens Community College in Perrysburg, Ohio, where they wanted to make sure that they had the look of brick and metal like the rest of their administration building, but they had an issue. If they built, as they did with brick and metal, they were having a continuous condensation issue on their brick shelf. Removing that existing facade of brick and metal, replacing it with a continuous insulated finish system look of metal and a lightweight insulated veneer solved that problem and got it to look exactly the way they wanted it, but now they have a nice energy efficient building. Another example of being able to match things up and from a restoration perspective, a lot of guys tell me it's pretty difficult when you're trying to match certain brick. You're running all over the place trying to find it. But in this case, we will be able to match existing buildings at the University of Wisconsin by doing some custom matching. We can take your full brick and we can custom match it with a lightweight insulated veneer. So no longer will you be hunting around for that specific look. A couple more examples of how we definitely improved the aesthetics, but we also provided air and water barriers, and of course that continuous insulation So now we've got an energy efficient building that looks really great and is super durable. Lots of project profiles exist as well if you want to learn more about them or find out about those in your area. I always love featuring this one too. This one's in Livonia, Michigan. Obviously, we had a pretty drab looking exterior. They really wanted to be able to address a variety of building envelope failures. They were able to restore it with a variety of different solutions on that facade to get it back to being high performing. And last but not least, this is another one that we feature regularly. This is a large building in Washington, in the state of Washington. When we looked at this structure, they had facade challenges, concrete challenges, sealant challenges, and a variety of different coating challenges. Really interesting here because we combined a variety of different systems to be able to get this building back to being air and water tight and looking great. Really cool feature, being able to coat over that existing facade with an air and weather resistant barrier, taking a panelized solution as well, updating all of its sealants and its coatings, and you really can't recognize this building anymore. Another one of those great video options to take a look at on that same Tremco channel. So at this point, that is all I prepared for you all today. But I did notice we had a couple questions coming in while I was rapid firing at you. So I thought I would address those questions real quick here. A couple of you mentioned about some projects, some restoration projects that you have currently going on. So I will definitely reach out to you and figure that out so that we can get you connected with the right person and of course that right solution. But I did see a couple questions as it relates to the differences between when you would choose a wet sealant and a pre-cured sealant. So lots we can say about that, and a lot of it depends on your project. But what I'd like to just kind of say here real quickly before we close is that's what we want to be able to do is sit down and talk to you. There is so many options when we look at our different types of restoration. We're not going to pigeonhole you into one spot. We really want to talk to you about what's going to be best. When you look at something like a pre-cured solution, you can go up and over that existing issue, but you may not want to do that. So that's where we can talk to you about what is needed. If you're going to use a wet sealant, there's going to be surface prep. You're going to need to remove that existing sealant. You might have to do some repair to that substrate depending on what it is. So once again, being able to provide that solution. If a pre-cured solution isn't going to be the option or a wet sealant, we then can also go with that pre-compressed foam tape. In that instance, we do have to remove the sealant, but we don't have to be as concerned in terms of surface prep because those pre-compressed foam tapes are based on compression, right? So we can handle a lot of irregular surfaces or irregular surface conditions when we utilize a solution like that. So I know I kind of rapid fired you guys with all these solutions here today. Couple other questions are coming in about coatings. I guess what it comes down to is I would be happy to follow up with each of you individually as it relates to some of these issues because there is so much we want to be able to consider. I am working on a variety of other videos with our tech reps that are out in the field. One of the guys, Mike Bader, based out of Texas, him and I are meeting on Monday to do just that. We're going to talk through a variety of different conditions from a concrete prep perspective, and all of those factors go in to choosing and helping which is going to be the best solution for you. A couple other questions about roofing restoration, but hold tight on those questions because I'm going to have Bob Moretti and John Breidenbach join me next Friday. So we'll definitely be able to address those. And I know there's a couple other questions too. When it relates to these types of videos, somebody was asking about the need of having a video made on a project, and I love that opportunity. So that's something I'm definitely going to follow up with you on because we definitely want to be able to capture the challenge and the solution and be able to bring that out to the customer. So very excited to see that there's a couple of you that have some of those case studies that you'd like to share as well. With that, I think what we'll do, here we go. Final slide today, especially with the amount of questions that are coming in. There is my contact information, mtyler@tremcoinc.com. Definitely want to be able to follow up with all of you, so please send those specific questions to me. We do spend a lot of time to make sure that we have as I mentioned, probably a couple times so far, those feet on the street. And what's great with them is they definitely understand regional practices. They understand in terms of what might be needed from a coastal perspective versus something that's inland, seismic zones, right? There's going to be a lot of different considerations as we start to look at these restoration needs. And it's really important that we get together as early as possible so we can start to address them early on and make sure that we're providing the appropriate solution to meet the performance needs on your project. So with that, I will say thanks everybody for joining us today. Happy Friday. Happy Valentine's Day on Monday. And don't forget to join us next Friday when we have both John Breinebeck and Bob Moretti from Roofing joining us to talk to you about liquid applied roofing. Okay, thanks for joining me today and have a great weekend. Bye.